We have some online questions.
Okay, let's go to them.
One of them was asking if what Samsung is doing about the fluctuating brightness issue that they've been having.
Thank you, and I want to thank very much, by the way, it reminds me, thanks so much, to really applaud Panasonic for fixing that. That's a big fix, and it really means a lot to me. For companies that go out and every company every year has defects. The Apple, which has never made a defect before, makes the iPhone 4 that can't make phone calls.
That works.
You would think the engineers would test it and see if it could make phone calls.
I guess
right?
I got mine after that.
Yeah, you have to have a case on it because you ground it. So everything has anomalies and defects every year. I admire the companies that listen to guys like me and you and the online community and go out and fix with firmware and enhance their products, not just fix things, but even make them better. So I applaud you for that, and as well as the latest fix, which by the way we have installed here, that helped us with the mid-range IRE color.
Well, actually, it's the FDR fix, which is not from previous years. It was actually where the picture got brighter at certain times. That has been
that's been fixed totally. Right.
There was also supposed to be a color fix to the color decoding, which I'm going to let Dwayne speak to this a little bit.
I don't think it was a color decoding fix. Maybe you know better than I do.
It was a color luminance.
Color luminance fix, that's correct.
Which
is still
addressed
not
the saturation, though, correct?
Okay, well, thanks for working on it. I also want to say that there's a couple of people and a group of people.
Well, back up for a second, though, because we don't want to mislead anybody. Yeah. That improved that, but it did not fix it all the way.
That's correct.
We want to make sure
that's correct. Good step in the right direction. And
same thing with the FBRs. They're still there. They're just reduced. I mean,
well, they're quite substantially reduced.
Yeah, I haven't seen them myself.
I haven't seen them, but
okay. Well, that's good.
Well, I could see them sometimes, but it's nowhere near what it was before.
Well,
it's almost
I give them all the
it's almost like the fluctuating brightness on the Samsung. There's a piece on the Tourist that will show it.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
It's at the.
Don't you love these video files?
I need to know this because you figured this out while we were working here together.
Yeah.
Chapter 7,
Chapter
really?
7. Yeah. When he's walking into the other room, it flashes. I think I showed you that, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. You see most of it in the 235 bars, actually.
You're talking about
to
the
me,
Samsung,
I see it
right?
235.
That's where the question was actually about the Samsung, not Panasonic.
I know, but I see it in the CinemaScope bars. That's where I see the fluctuating brightness. Is that what everyone else thinks?
Floating blacks.
Floating blacks is that name for it.
It's a different problem.
I just wanted to spend a second to thank all the enthusiasts in the industry that hold the manufacturer's feet to the fire to make these changes. It's really us that brings this to their attention. And in particular, I got to spend a second to thank John Gotcha, who has really done a lot with Panasonic on getting this right. And it's terrific culture for a company to listen to us nerds and fix these things. And I applaud the companies that do it, and I shun the ones that don't. So now we got a tough question for my friends at Samsung. The question from the internet is: there is floating blacks or fluctuating brightness. It's not as major an issue as it was with another one, but it's there. And I guess the question is: I don't know if you can answer it or not.
No.
Do you know about it?
Do you know about the I work in the training department, and that's more of a services issue.
Do you know about the issue?
Well, I mean, first to understand how the lights actually work would be, I guess, the answer to his question. Because if you see there's a widescreen, and then at the top and bottom of each of the TV, sometimes you'll see lights there that are turned on.
Particularly talking about the plasma.
Wait, he's talking about plasma?
Yes.
And I have no idea what he's talking about.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I've never seen that issue.
Robert, I want to say something. I do applaud Panasonic for updating the display. It's not fixed.
Right.
But it is updated.
Right.
And like for what we're watching right now, I did have to dial down the color again to make it look correct, which it should not be. But it's nowhere near what we had to do beforehand.
Right.
So, I mean, when I'm looking at it from that perspective, yes, it's a huge improvement. But from what we were doing in our calibrations, it's not an improvement. Mm-hmm. You know, post-calibration, I would say. Right, Kevin?
Well, you mean it's not good enough is what you're saying. You want it to be perfect.
Well, no.
It's better than
I wanted it. Well, yeah, I wanted it to be what it was before, basically. It should not be there anyway. You know, that's 101. I mean, that's 101 picture quality. Color decoding should be a done deal years ago, basically. But it's not. It's still a problem today. I want to challenge all of the actual display companies to actually start looking at color, not just at 75% stimuli, but from 0 to 100, and make sure your XY plots are correct from that point going all the way up. I know it's tough. If you can't do it in 1% stimuli levels, at least do it in 10. You know, because that's what's going on with the Sharp. You know, it's a great display, but the colors are acting up in the lower stimuli levels.
One color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
One-
Panasonic does it
one shade
also,
of-
but it's not as intense as what it is with the Sharp.
Any other online questions?
Well, there was another one that I almost hesitated to ask. It's more of a joke. Which one is D-Nice's favorite?
No, that's.
That was very, very
I think that's a loaded, unfair question. He can
Yeah,
answer it if
I
he
would
wants
say so.
to,
Yeah.
I don't know if he has a favorite, do you?
I think D-Nice should feel
think he does.
feel free to decline to answer
Take
that
it to
question.
PM, D-Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
No, I will answer it.
Yeah.
Out of the plasma wall, out of the flat panel wall, not talking about the color over there.
Yeah.
Color-wise, my favorite is the Samsung, hands down. It is reference quality color. You cannot do really any better than what it's doing.
Yeah.
For contrast, hands down, Sharp. I mean, and that's because of the black levels and the dynamic range that it has.
And the brightness, the peak luminance as well.
Well, the brightness is capped at the same thing as everyone else.
Yeah,
it's
when
just
you
the
put it
dynamic
35,
range between black and white.
Okay.
Overall, that's where it gets a little dicey. I mean, to be honest with you, before I walked in here, I thought the Sharp was going to take it all.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to say, from my perspective, for number one, it's in between the Samsung and the Panasonic. But I'm going to give the edge to the Samsung because of the color decoding issues with the Panasonic.
Gotcha. All right. That was a very, very frank answer, actually. I think he's going to be happy.
The way he lives his life.
Yeah.
Okay, what else you got there?
Let me take a look. Let me scroll up. Well, we just got a whole bunch of Go Samsung talk here.
That's what we're looking at here.
Are there any questions in the attending audience here? From anybody?
It can be minimized, but
Yes, Joe. I'm sorry, 1 second.
The LG seems to be like a black sheep or the white sheep, should I say, of a whole panel.
The gray sheet.
Yeah. Can you explain why that is the case? I mean, it's supposed to be a top-notch panel, but what was
Well,
it?
it is the flagship
You
model.
say it's the black sheet because what? We're not spending enough attention on it.
No,
Well,
because
no,
it's not
it
producing black,
just
right?
clearly stand out as the kind of like the worst panel.
Yeah, for one particular reason. It's called contrast ratio.
It doesn't have contrast.
It doesn't do black well at all, and its contrast ratio is so much lower than everything else in the room. It's not even close.
Which is surprising.
it's the LG, right?
You know, remember,
Yeah.
contrast ratio, if
Yeah.
you're going to pick one, it's the number one key component. If you don't have contrast ratio, you're going to have a tough time. Even if you have nearly perfect color, if your contrast ratio is that bad, the color accuracy of that panel can't make up for that because it's just not involving. It doesn't draw you in. It doesn't have depth. You've got no shadow detail. I mean, that's the reason, Joe.
Okay.
Its contrast ratio is really, really low.
We'll also point out all the image retention when you consider like how you say it's not that bright a picture. It still has a lot of image retention when you go into the black screens. It has a lot of stuff behind, and it shouldn't happen
You had a
considering
point,
how
right?
pale the picture is.
Question for people from Sharp. Do they plan to come out with the 935 at all?
For next year, there are plans for a step-up model, but not for the balance.
Something mid-level in between the Elite and the 735
That's correct.
and the 70-inch. What time?
That's like a
That's
March,
a-
April.
yeah, March, April.
March, April, which is the traditional time frame.
10:35.
Okay.
David, you have some more online questions?
Let's have a look.
Okay.
under the Sharp brand.
Do you
Right.
think that Chuck will go back and report this issue?
Oh yeah, no, that'll be.
Question to
that'll
you
be a
guys,
firmware
which
fix.
Yeah,
TV on the
that'll be
wall
a
do you
firmware
feel
fix.
has
Oh, yeah.
the best motion?
We
Put you on the seat again, Dwayne.
That was
Is
the
it a question for Dwayne?
Yeah, I was asking specifically for
The
Dwayne.
elite.
I'm gonna,
The Elite-
I'm gonna
the Elite's the
second,
best
I'm gonna
promotion
second
resolution.
that if anybody on the
Right.
internet's
Yeah, I
interested.
looked
Let them know you're here.
They know I'm here.
We could also do it on our Elite Advantage line.
Yeah, in other words, right over the air, which is cool.
Yeah.
You can just do it
It's
automatically.
unusual for an LCD to win the motion resolution.
Okay, there's a green
Very
patch
unusual.
question.
Usually the 600 hertz thousands win that.
Someone just said, I'm trying to find the green patch question. I can't find it here.
Green globs.
They'll see that.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna,
Green blobs on, I'm gonna assume the
Samsung?
Panasonic.
Well,
It's
it
scrolling
happens
down.
on
It's
a lot
not
of
existent on
panels.
this one.
Non-existent. We didn't see
Correct.
it. Yeah, I mean, I used to have it on that panel until it broke in.
Get out of here, really?
man, are they moving
Yeah.
fast.
That's a plug, it's tower.
I can hardly read the stuff. This text is so small.
You need a bigger screen, do you?
I probably need a bigger screen.
60 or 70?
Oh, I'll take the 70 for sure.
So for everybody online, I want to thank everybody who made a contribution. And anybody who didn't make a contribution, there's still time to do that. So you can click on Value Electronics. There's a link on there that brings you to the American Cancer Society. You'll be entered into the raffle. Everybody that paid money tonight, we're entering them in the back room with your name on it. So you can go to the American Cancer Society through our link. You can see our team. You'll see your name in there. We'll also put in your raffles into your raffle tickets into the drawing. And good luck to everybody. It's a nice TV, 55-inch GT 30.
Nothing but color.
Yeah, cool.
You know, we're live online. You know, we want to be.
Hello.
You know,
Hello.
PG.
Aren't there reports
Of Elite's having the dirty screen effect issue.
I think we just saw it.
content issue?
They're asking for X-rated content? What?
No, they're asking if it has ESU problems.
Okay, we're reading questions from online.
Okay, here it is.
Anybody else online?
UK European Panasonics have green problems on the panels.
And so that's what the green patch issue is about, I guess. Now I remember it. Yeah, on the European Panasonic plasmas, people were getting these green blobs on their screens sometimes. And
Tough for us here in the U.S. to
yeah, that's kind of.
That's.
I think that might be out of our purview here.
Yeah, it's not a. That's a manufacturing issue, but we don't see it on this panel right here, so
Right.
it's irrelevant
Right.
to the shootout.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I hate
Also,
to say
there's
I
a-
hate to say that to them because I know that they're having major problems with it.
Right.
But for this
But
shootout
they-
and this
yeah.
panel, it's
Yeah,
non-existent.
you need a European panel.
Ours
right,
are
for people
built in a
who've worked
different
on it,
factory,
to-
and
Right.
there may be some other
Yeah,
components.
you would need European Panasonic reps to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Probably, yeah.
What is the London shootout?
Any other online
that?
questions? Online,
What is this?
mark it up now if you want to ask anything. We're coming to a close.
Oh, let me just.
Repeat question. Is
Yeah,
Sharp
Chapter
going to
7, that's why
address
it's kind of slow.
Yeah.
the poor response of the
Concierge service?
concierge for the Elite?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, I just want to say,
Somebody-
it's so new for them. I want to give them a little bit of a break here. But I can tell you that you can also go through your dealer and get really good action. And I know a lot of people know that
Sure.
I've done that. And I find the company to be outstandingly responsive and,
Okay.
and very generous in their customer support.
Yeah, and I mean,
So,
any
so
company's
involve
gonna
your
have at
dealer.
least some
This
people
is a
who will be
new.
able to
This
have
is
good
new. The
service.
product is new. The concierge service is new.
Yeah.
So I want to give them a little time, but I have heard.
You actually had a
comments
great
about this
example of that.
Yeah.
Why don't you give them
I've
the
had a
example?
few great examples,
And-
but I have a few good
Go ahead.
friends over there as well. So basically, we've interceded on behalf of our clients, and we've got exceptional service, instant and exceptional.
Here's another
Far
one.
beyond what
I also want to underscore that the Elite Advantage Live program that Brad spoke about is incredibly powerful, and in our service, our system and service group is very, very responsive, and have put Elite at the top of the list in terms of
You know, I just wanted to add, that's such an
priorities.
extraordinary feature. You can actually connect the internet, well, it's wireless. You don't connect anything unless you want to run a hard wire. And then you call the concierge service. They give you some kind of a trick number, and you say yes. And they go inside your panel from their tech support central location in Illinois or something. And they'll go in and do tweaks and repairs and fixes and diagnose things. It's an extraordinary service.
Watch you see it on a computer.
It's an extraordinary service. It's a very unique service too.
I've never heard of anything like it.
Yeah, I know. It's very cool.
It is unique to Sharp and Elite.
Yeah, it's a beautiful service. Very
There was another online question here regarding the plasmas. They want to know how the line bleed is on the plasmas. So we didn't test for that or check for that at all.
What is it?
What?
Line bleed.
Line bleed on the plasmas.
Never heard of it.
Well,
never seen it myself.
Are you referring to like on broadcast TV where you can see the vertical intervals?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know.
I don't know what they're talking about either, but I presume that's what it is. And the way to do it is take it out of dot by dot and overscan a little bit, I guess.
No. It's not that. Line bleed, like
when you walk into the room, I mean, where you're seeing like a green pixel or something from one line to the next.
There'll be a little streak. I've seen some photographs of it. There'll be a little streak of color. Like
oh no, I know what you're talking about.
I just
had a
remember
client
that.
that had that on.
And I kept rewinding it, and it did it.
It's not that we don't test for it. In our testing, throwing up black and white and gray and all sorts of different things. If we were there, we would have seen it.
Yeah. Okay.
So the answer to the question is we haven't seen it on any of the plasmas in the room.
Okay.
Can we run some titles at the end? I'll credits. I'd be happy with any
Hold on,
movie.
Ed.
This is fine. It doesn't have to be a different movie. It'll really demonstrate the other LCD anomalies.
Let me get to...
I saw some extra question about, for the shop, for the elite people. One question is there 80 elite coming out?
80-inch elite is the question.
And the second question is, talking about the blue or the teal issue, can they elaborate, what will be
Tom,
the
you can
fixes
answer
or
like
things
that.
like
I know
that?
that one, but go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's do the teal one first. I overheard Tom saying that he feels confident, and I think we all agreed, and I think D-Nice agreed.
Firmware update.
This is a firmware upgrade fix that's quick and easy, and we expect them to do that.
Very soon.
Yeah. And we're proud to be able to identify it and bring it to them, and that's what this is all about, And they seem very agreeable to making things right as well. Good corporate culture again. What was the other question, part one?
80-inch.
80-inch. I asked the same question as well, and Tom says it's in consideration for next year. This is kind of a mid-year product, so it won't be out in March, April of next year. It would be towards the June, July, and it's in consideration.
Tom, I have a question.
Will it cost as much as my car?
Yeah.
More
More than your car.
You can already get a Hyundai. You can already get a Hyundai for the for the 70. No, I'm just kidding. My question is the reverse. Any plans on slightly smaller screen sizes, like 50?
Well, one of the things that's been really paramount behind all of Sharp's strategy is to focus on being a leader in large screen size. The Generation 10 plant, the Sakai plant is really efficient at building 60 and 70-inch technologies, as well as mobile screen technologies for mobile devices and tablets. So balancing all of that and really focusing on being the leader in large screen sizes is really paramount for us. And in terms of Elite, it was really always a brand that focused on the biggest and the best, right? The 50 and 60 back. We've got I guess this is a 60. The 60 over here. It's the same intent with Elite as we move forward. So 60 and 70 inch this year. We're going to certainly support that into next year, and also considering other screen size options for Elite, as well as other technologies that will really keep the brand forward thinking and forward facing.
Thank you.
By the way, here's the test I was hoping for. There's only 2 televisions on the wall you need to concern yourself with, and those are the full array backlights. Edge lit and plasma don't have the same effect. These are the only 2
Let me get out of the way.
full array backlit televisions that have local dimming. This is an anomaly that exists on backlit LEDs. It's not a defect. You can't get away from it. but you can make it better. And I think they've done such a great job at Elite in making it better. We're talking about the blooming.
Robert, microphone.
Thanks so much. We're talking about high contrast areas, where, as Bill brought out so correctly, that you can only dim certain blocks, certain zones. Had I known that this was going to be a problem, I would have given them all my cousins. I understand zone. All right.
Actually, it's zone.
It's zone. But anyway, you can see plasmas don't suffer from it, but LCDs do, and unfortunately, the Sony suffers the most. I would guess that this has more local dimming zones, and that's why it performs better.
You don't have to
In many more than
And to tell you the truth, we've counted them. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. Am I allowed to say it? We know how many there are.
on the internet.
We published it.
Hey, the way
don't
come
me.
Okay.
We counted them. David came up with this methodology.
How many?
It's a PC mouse.
On the 70, the 60, the 60.
Yeah, someone else has to say it. I want to maintain my dealership.
The 70.
How many?
Was it on the 70 or on the 60?
No, we cut
We measured the 70.
On the
Who's
70.
going to say? I can't say the
He
number.
can say it.
I'm not allowed to say 300.
280.
I know how.
I can't say 300. I'm not allowed.
280.
But Robert, I think it's north of that. But Robert,
Yeah, north of
on
that,
the
yeah.
70. I think though.
Okay.
That's right. Because I was doing some math on it, and the pixel number didn't come out evenly, but 24 did.
Okay, so it's more than 300 local dimming zones. That's a huge amount. It's very rare for a TV to have 96. So to have 300% more, or even more than that, is why you get the better performance. Look at that. And it shows up a little bit in some normal video, not just on titles and credits. The other anomaly that I hate is the off-access viewing. With LCD full array panels, you got to be straight on. Again, the Elite does a very fine job with off-access
Look
viewing.
at the Sony logo on the Sony.
Yeah.
But
That was a great one. That was a great one.
the other thing though, Robert, that this TV does that no other local dimming TV does is that it does not turn off the zones completely.
Right. It doesn't turn off the LEDs
It
completely.
does not, and that's what minimizes the blooming. And if you looked at the Sony on the sides, it was totally black, while everything in the middle was bright, and you saw the blooming. Here, you look uniform because they don't turn it fully off, and that was a great idea. And I'm surprised they were able to pull that off. That was amazing. That's just an amazing way to do it. It's really the only way to minimize blooming, and they pulled it off. Smart. Very, very smart.
Hey, Robert.
Yes, sir.
This is just from a podcast on the internet, but they did disclose the number of backlit LED arrays, and they did some math, and they say the array per square inch is greater on the 70 than the 60.
That's good.
That is
Just a
correct.
FYI.
That's good.
Of course, that means you should get to 70.
Yeah, it's only
That's good. That's good. Okay, I think we're getting close to wrapping this up. We're going to take a look at the votes. There's some more content to show you the blooming issues. You can just trust me on the off-access viewing. It's fantastic. It's unusual. It's a little too noisy. I want to tell you, I love doing this. I'm going to do it every year. Tune in tomorrow, a new show. 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Send money. Breast cancer. God bless you. See you tomorrow, guys.
Knock the lights off, you can make it perfect.